The language of Hebrews 12, where the author of Hebrews talks about that sin which so easily besets us, or that sin which so easily entangles us. That passage in that verse in Hebrews 12, 1 through 2 and 3, historically people would come and say, well, what is your besetting sin? And while we certainly can have a or a few besetting sins, the reality of it is, and really what that passage is getting at, is that sin itself, and all sin, not just one sin, but all sin, is entangling. It besets us. The image is literally of like weeds coming up from the ground and entangling themselves around our ankles. I mean, you're a runner. Imagine weeds coming up and sort of grabbing you. There's a scene from Harry Potter that I have in mind, a vine sort of taking one of the students into its clutches. And that's sort of the imagery there. All sin is besetting. And in one sense, all sin is addictive. And some addictive sin is not as prominent as other addictive sins. But all sin is besetting, and in one sense, all sin is addictive. And so I think that's an important thing that we need to at least consider, that if all sin is in some sense addictive, and we fall into certain sins, the question is, are we repenting of those sins? Are we truly broken and contrite over those sins? And here's the big one that a lot of people don't want to think about, or don't consider, or sometimes not taught about. Not only are we contrite, not only have we confessed that sin, but are we striving, truly striving, to walk a consecrated life apart from that sin? And what steps are we taking in our lives to live in that way? I pray every day, well, not every day, but I pray every day in my life for certain things. I pray that God would help me to be disciplined in my eating and drinking, whatever I put in my body, in my exercising, that God would help me to be disciplined in my spending and in my saving, that God would help me to be disciplined with my mouth, which I'm not always, that He would help me to control my tongue, that I would say things that are kind and gentle and not harsh or unkind, and I can be harsh. I can hurt people's feelings. I can say unkind things. In one sense, those are patterns, and those become addictive. Sometimes you don't even realize it. Sometimes they're blind spots. But whether they're sexual sins, or they're sins of substances, drugs or alcohol, we need to take steps to help us and get accountability. We need to take things away from our lives. We need to put barriers and guards up. We need friends, and we need to be able to be open about our sins. We need to be able to talk about them. And the church shouldn't be the last place you go. It should be the first place you go. And if you can't go to your elder in your church and talk to them about your sin because you're afraid, you probably need to find a church where they're going to be ready to show you grace and love and forgiveness, but where they're also willing to help you get the help you need.